What's up, guys? Coming to you. I'll talk to you a little bit something a little different this time. So I talk about comic books, superheroes, and stuff. But another aspect of my nerdiness is video games. I love video games. I don't play them as much now that I'm older and have to work. But I do like a good video game. I grew up playing the Nintendo, um, and then I got real excited when the 64 came out. Still think that's the best system ever made. Um, and I'm, I argue that to a point or to a fault. Uh, I love that system. And then I moved up to Xbox. And so I jumped from Nintendo to Xbox, and I love Xbox. It's great. Now I have a Wii and a 360, and there's been some really great games over the years. Some of my favorites like Super Mario 64, Banjo Kazooie. Um, I love all the Star Wars games. Shadows of the Empire on 64 is great. Mario, the regular Mario, Mario World, Super Mario 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, and then Duck Hunt. Love Duck Hunt. I've got the gun and everything, and then moving on to Xbox, I loved KOTOR, great game. Um, Battlefront 2 was amazing. Battlefront was good, and then they're like, let's improve on this, and they took all the good things about Battlefront 1 and made it Battlefront 2, and added an amazing single player, which is why I don't care for the newest ones. I've been disappointed with those, but yeah. So and then you had Halo, which just was amazing. They had some good Ghost Recon games that I loved. And, all those games I grew up playing, and I still play a lot of them. A lot of them are playing. So I haven't gotten Xbox One, and so it took me a while to get a 360, and so I got pretty far behind from gaming in college. Everybody else was playing Halo 3. I was playing Halo 1 and 2. But I would play it with friends every now and then. Wasn't a huge fan of the 360 controller. I like the old classic, the big one, the brick, I call it, from the Xbox. But anyways, that's a long story. Get to the point. Fortnite. So there's this new thing, Fortnite. Everybody knows about it. But in case this is like being watched 20 years later, if anybody's ever watching this that far. Fortnite's a free game, which is awesome. That's about as much as I know about it. Now, I've played it a couple times. All of my youth at church love it. A lot of my good friends who are gamers, they love it. And I think it's okay. I think it's a cool game. I'd probably enjoy it more if I were playing it, but for me, gaming is about single player. I think it's awesome to have a multiplayer where you can run around and kill each other. But I've never been a huge fan of the online multiplayer. But I'm glad that they have it. I enjoy it with Halo. Just for me, games are more for like myself or me and my friends to play at home. I don't really care all that much about playing with people I've never met. It doesn't really appeal to me. And so I like games with a great story. And I'm going to argue that games with stories are the best. Now, one of my friends is more of a online gamer. He's a PvP guy, and that is just not me. And more power to him. He's really good at what he does there. He's got a Twitch account. Don't ask me what it is, but he does all that kind of stuff. And that's really cool. Keep going, man. But that's just not my style. And I feel like up until Fortnite came out, the gaming industry has been in a decline. And I think it ties back to the decline in the 80s and the 90s, early 90s, that was saved by Nintendo. and the decline of Atari. Because here's what happened, and a lot of people probably watched. You probably watched a lot of documentaries on this, so catch me where I'm wrong. But basically, the people who were making home video games at the time, they got really cocky, and they made a lot of video games really quickly without worrying about quality. And they just did a lot of copy paste to get games out faster, and lots of games. So they flooded the market with a whole bunch of games that were exactly the same with only minor differences. And a lot of the games didn't work well. A lot of the games, the story didn't make sense. Of course, back then there wasn't a whole lot of story, but still, there wasn't as much to draw the person in. And so there's just a lot of really awful games that came out, and it killed the industry because people were like, well, we just go to arcade. Like, why would we buy this much money? Because they're expensive. And why would we buy this much money to play a game that's not really that great? And, that kills a game system, and that kills the industry. And so, we've had that happen a few times since, but it's not been like industry wide. A system will go out because the games they'll do some kind of strategy in the background, and people get off to it. Like Sega's downfall was they just kept trying to add things to the system, and then they made them unnecessary. And so people were spending a lot of money for all these upgrades, and then they just weren't well thought out and well planned. Well, I think we see something similar going on in video games, because now, like, ever since the 360 came out, and then you had PlayStation 3 or 4, I don't know, so many PlayStation. You had so many games. You kind of went from a switch. So GoldenEye 007 was the main one that really switched the gaming industry to multiplayer. And then everything had to come with a co-op or a PvP game where you were playing against your friends on the console. Well, when Xbox came out and they made it live, you're like, whoa, that's awesome. PlayStation 2 might have done the same, I don't know. But Xbox did it, and that's the one I heard about first. And suddenly you could play Halo online with random people, and I think that's awesome. I think that's cool. I enjoy doing that sometimes. But here's the thing, like, now, because the online gaming industry is so huge, it's taken away the story aspect of a game. What brought into a lot of games that they're putting out don't really have a story. If they do, it's like super short, doesn't really draw anybody in. Super easy to beat the campaign if there is a campaign in the game. That's what got me with Battlefront, its reboot for the Xbox One. It was stupid expensive. It's like $70 to pre-order and then to buy. And there was no single player, basically. You could only play it online. You could play a little bit offline, but pretty much you could only play it online. And there weren't a lot of maps. They were all banking on your downloadable content later. You spending lots of money online to get random upgrades. And the problem is, a lot of games like that, you saw something like this with Destiny. I think it was called Destiny, that game. They had this huge, exciting thing, looked amazing, had this really cool story. But then they ran into some problems, is that they didn't spend as much time with the story as they did with the PvP matches. And the PvP, gets a lot of attraction, but it doesn't have any staying quality unless the game itself brings something new. So the industry right now has a lot of copy and pasting of player versus player online multiplayer. So they're just, okay, let's take this game, let's redress it with different looks, and then copy it and paste it into this brand new game and call it a new game, but it's virtually the exact same as the other game, it just looks different, and that's not going to sell. That's not going to hold water. Um, it's like, why would I buy this brand new game for $50 when I can just play this old game that works just as well? Well, you can't, because they shut down the servers after a while. And this is why I love old games. There's a lot of games that people love today that 20 years from now they'll never be able to play again. So if Fortnite goes down the same path as all these other gaming systems and it disappears, nobody will be able to play it. Nobody can play Fortnite. Like, it's all online, and that's a problem. I like Fortnite, and I'm gonna get to why I think that it can save the gaming industry. But a lot of these games, you won't really be able to play them after a while, and so really you're spending $50 for a game that you're only going to be able to play for a couple years. A new game will come out, and then they'll drop the servers of the old one for the new one. Halo 2 is a good example. I love the campaign is amazing, and I will play that till I die. Probably. I love it. It's such a good game. Halo 1, it took all the good things of Halo 1 and made it better. There's a couple things that I didn't like about it, like they nerfed the pistol, but whatever. Anyways, and they took the blaster rifle out. I was very disappointed with that. Anyways, but you couldn't play online anymore. Like, a lot of the draw was the online multiplayer. I mean, you can't do that anymore. And so nobody ever wanted to play it because they couldn't play it online. All they could play is Halo 3. And I was like, but there's so much more to the game than that. And so now these games that have no campaign and they have very little. I mean, you could probably play them amongst yourself, but you can't really play them by yourself anymore. We've gone away from this arcade type game where you can go in and play a game for yourself to now you have to pretty much, I mean, you're only buying it to play against other people online that you've never met. Maybe playing in-house, but some games you can't do it in-house unless everybody brings their own system, their own computer. Anyways, plus then you have the whole problem with the in-game buying, and so it's super expensive to buy to begin with. It's like $50 for one game. I was like, that's crazy. And then and that's if you're lucky. And then you're not getting a single player. All you're getting is the multiplayer for most of these games that are coming out these days. I mean, there's some good games out there, but they're not like the main pitched ones, and they're not the ones that get as much attention, that they spend as much time on developing. Nintendo is an exception. Nintendo does a lot of good quality games like Mario and stuff, but still. Anyways, but some of these games like Call of Duty, and they focus not anymore on the campaign, the replayability, but only the sellability and the PvP online. And and then you just buy in-game downloads, and you're upgrading minor things, or there's games that let you buy these overpowered weapons that really just make it worthless to everybody else who's trying to play, because suddenly you have like the best gun in the world that can kill anybody in one shot, and you're just like, I can't go up against that unless I buy the money. And so they're making lots of money off of that. But Fortnite changed that game. Fortnite changed the game. They're like, let's offer this game for free. Maybe you can buy some things, but they're all minor. They don't affect the gameplay at all, which is brilliant. And they have the biggest following I've seen since Halo. Huge. When I was a kid, everybody played Halo. Even the PlayStation guys played Halo and were jealous of the Xbox. Now they would defend their PlayStation, and for good reason. There's some great games on PlayStation, but everybody wanted to play Halo. And even if you didn't own a Xbox, you knew somebody who did, and you played with them a lot. And so I haven't seen anything like that since Halo. And Halo's kind of tapered off because they've again cared less about the game and more about the online multiplayer. And so, a lot of us hardcore Halo fans have kind of dropped off. Halo 4 was a big disappointment with the story. It was okay. But Halo 1, 2, and 3 are just all-star hitters. And now it just feels like they're trying to sell us another game that may or may not be anywhere as good as the others. Don't really capture the spirit. Like I got ODST, I've got Halo Reach, I've got Halo what's that real RTS game, Halo Wars. I've got all those, and I've enjoyed all of those because they've got a fun single player, and I've played multiplayer with them. But Fortnite has changed a lot of that. Now there's a platform that these other companies can't compete with because they're making you buy the game, whereas Fortnite is free and you can play it for free as much as you want. There's a few things that you can buy, but they're not a necessity to play the game, and they don't hurt you in any way because the game itself is designed in a way to level all the players, which is brilliant. Add to that the cool modification where you can destroy things and build things. That's really neat. Not really my type of game. Maybe one day when I get a good computer and can play. But, I think it's a really awesome idea, nonetheless. But so the question remains: Can it save the gaming industry? I think so, and here's why. Because a lot of these places and they're fueled by GameStop. GameStop has a lot, I think, to do with it because they charge overpriced games. And I fell victim during Battlefront when it came out, the reboot. I bought a super expensive game which I should not have bought, and I was very disappointed. But now we see what can happen, and I bet you we're going to get more games that are not knockoffs of Fortnite, but in a similar vein where they're fun and exciting, and they have an interesting story that's being developed. Even though I wish there was like a single player mode that had a real story, and that you could, actually play forever and keep forever as long as the system survived. But it's a step in the right direction, I think, because these other companies are seeing what people are enjoying, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we can't really compete with that price. And as long as Fortnite keeps it free, man, they could sell. They could push all these other companies out of business, and it's just beautiful capitalism at work right there. So Fortnite, keep going, man. Y'all are doing a great job over there. I don't know what the company's called. That's just my own ignorance. But I think there's some really great things that we could learn from the creators of Fortnite and the strategy that they're taking. And I just want to see video games be long lasting. I don't want video games to be something that you never play again in 20 years. The Nintendo came out 20, 30 years ago now. And I still can pick up that thing and play it. I still can play it because it's fun, it's exciting. I have Mario, I have Duck Hunt, I have Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I have all those games, and the Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3, and I have all those games. I can pull it out right now and play it if I wanted to. I still have my 64. I could play any of those games. I'm sure the system's old, but if it stays in working condition, man, it'll play. But there's a lot of games these days that if you bought, like Battlefront, I can't really play that anymore. They've probably cut the system. One, I don't have the system, but they've cut the servers for the new Battlefront, so nobody's playing online anymore, and it has a terrible single player because it's non-existent. So it's not playable anymore. Well, let's not to mention that to be worth anything, you have to buy so much in the download. Like, I want games to be, awesome. I want games to be long lasting. I want them to be for a wide variety of people. I don't need every game to appeal to me. Okay, I'm not saying that. Fortnite doesn't appeal to me. I think it's a great thing. I might play it one day. I'll play it with some of my friends when I'm over hanging out, but it doesn't really appeal to me because it's all PvP. It's not really the kind of game I enjoy. But I'm glad that it's out there, and I'm glad that they make these other games that appeal to different audiences. But I think that they need to, in general, make some of these bigger games appeal to a wide variety of gamers and not just the online gamers, because the online gamers are going to move away from that game eventually, and it's it might go down as having its heyday, but it's not going to be that great of a game if it doesn't last. Because like I said, I could pick up Halo and play it, and it still has an amazing story. Still one of the greatest games ever made. Halo and Halo 2 and even Halo 3. Like, I can still pick those up, still play them. In 20 years, I can have my kids or grandkids play. Well, probably not grandkids, but I could have my kids playing them, and me and my kids could be playing. All right, when I was your age, I was playing this game. Let's play it together. But some of these games that are all online, you're just not gonna be able to do. So that's my thoughts. I think Fortnite has a good ability to save the gaming universe. I know it took a long time to get to the round circle. So if you're still in this video, thanks for sticking with it. But I think Fortnite is a good change for the gaming industry, because it's going to challenge other industries. It's going to challenge the other companies to make games cheaper, to make games more fair, and hopefully we'll work our way to having really amazing stories in our video games again. So let me know what you think. Do you hate Fortnite? Do you like it? Do you think it's appalling that I know so little about newer video games? I've been out of the gaming world for a while now. I used to get the GameStop magazine back in the day, but I don't anymore. So I don't really keep up with anything, and I thought, oh, it's a fun game. I might buy that one. So let me know what you think, and I will catch you next time. Peace.